Alrighty, we're in a hotel room because it's Elaine's birthday in a couple of days. Subject is something that means quite a lot to us, actually. It's probably one of our core life compasses. She can't hear me because she's got her headphones on, but she is here in the bed. I won't embarrass her by spinning the camera around. But what's really important to us is doing things that we love, particularly, around whether it's your career, whether it's, the business that you have, because there's life's too short is obviously one of the sayings. And I think as you get older, and I don't label myself as old, but definitely your mental approach to things starts to be anchored, and you start to get a clearer understanding of actually what that saying means. We were just talking really briefly before, I sort of hit record about Monday-itis. I don't know whether that's you can Google that word, but Monday-itis is, where basically people that take part in things that they don't love and they don't enjoy, they just don't look forward to Monday mornings because, they're dreading having to, sometimes even if they have their own business, but sometimes, I think most of the time you hear it from people that have careers or jobs that they just can't stand. I am really clear on the fact that, some people choose particular jobs because they need a certain level of income, to withstand the lifestyle that they have, size of family, all those sorts of choices. But I truly believe now, in 2025, in the sort of modern landscape of things that we can do with our time in exchange for money, it's vast. And I'm talking about any age range in any part of the world. We've worked with people from what others would consider, sort of third world countries and paid them handsome amounts of money, to do particular types of work for us. And they were quite young guys, actually. I think only in their late teens, and I can imagine the type of money, that we paid them is astronomical, in that part of the world. But that's a different subject. But the thing that, I'm very strong-headed about is people following and adhering to potentially the dream that they set out to follow and they set out to accomplish when either they first heard about that particular thing or something that they grew into and they figured out that they loved along the way, whether that was working for somebody else or whether it was hearing a friend talk about it or whether it was inspired by, someone that they've seen on the internet or even down the local shop. I really don't think, we should live our lives hating what we do. I get you can have moments of where there might be, points of disappointment and stress. You can't avoid stress, 100%. There's not a perfect, sort of system to avoid stress altogether. It's our perception of it. But could you be doing something more, to make you feel like you're living with more purpose and more fulfillment? Some of the questions that I've asked myself over the years are, particularly just very, very short story. When just before I joined the military, I was working as a doorman, security, whatever you want to call it, in nightclubs, and then at the front of like lounge bars. Now this is back in 2007 when I had this realization. So I was doing that on an evening, and then I was working for a local company selling log cabin buildings, and this company used to import and export specialist woods. Now it sounds exotic, and at the time the security work was paying me quite a lot per hour, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. It wasn't like fulfilling, purposeful work. And I had an epiphany one evening, when there was loads of drunk people walking past, and I was probably pretty cold, to be honest, and I was opening doors for drunk people, and then maybe someone was throwing up on the other side of the road, and I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'd already recognized before that point as well, despite the amount per hour I was getting paid, and in the other job that I was doing through the day, had a great salary, a great wage, and I used to get paid commission for, upselling certain things, adding stuff onto these, log cabin buildings. I was making great money. But I remember looking forward to the weekend, looking forward to Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. I remember the feeling on a Sunday, evening, thinking, and it would click that I would have to then become that person again on Monday morning and go and open up the sales pitch. And then I would dread the text messages coming through saying, we could really do with you doing, the doors at whatever club it is, on Saturday night and stuff. And I just remember thinking, I don't want to do this, And it got to the point of where I was just sick of my own shit. There's no better way to put it. And then one of the evenings, as I was sort of explaining, I said this was going to be a short story, but they're never going to be, by the way. If this is the first of my videos that you're watching, then if I ever say I'll just tell you a short story, I go off on what people like to call rich tangents. We do eventually get back to the point, I promise. But this particular evening, I remember looking out at the landscape around me and just thinking, I don't want to do this. This is not where I'm supposed to be. And I had a sense that I could do more. There was like an evolution inside of myself. And the very next morning, after only a few hours sleep, I went into the closest city. After I Googled, that evening, I went into an Armed Forces careers office, and I literally signed up to, the person that I spoke to. I'd done no research, nothing like that. I just knew I needed change. I needed to do something different to what I'd been doing. And at that point in time, anything would do, and it was great, honestly. I had a great time. So I'm not telling you to, run down to the Armed Forces careers office unless that is one of your dreams. If that has been one of your dreams, then you need to ask yourself, what has been stopping me? Is it practical? If it isn't practical, then maybe the thing that you thought you were going to get out of going into the military can be found in a different outlet, maybe a hobby or something like that. And maybe even the thing that you want to do, that you think you want to do, maybe that same feeling can be found in a hobby as well. But the amount of friends I've got and the amount of people, I've come into contact with over the years, they've said the same thing. So I'm going to counter what I just said and almost, contradict myself and say, yeah, you could get a hobby, but that's like, maybe the difference between a Diet Coke and a full sugar Coke. Is it ever really going to hit the spot? Is it ever really going to give you that? I'm not a Coca-Cola drinker, I'm a Pepsi drinker, but you catch my drift. Is it ever going to hit the spot where it's got all the heinous, tasty chemicals and sugar in versus the thing that's had all of that stuff taken out to make you believe it's a little bit healthier and a little bit better for you? Probably not. Probably not. Sometimes you've got to just scratch that fucking itch, in my opinion. But back to the main point. Main point being is, how can we avoid Mondayitis and always just living for, a weekend feeling? Well, that's a question you've got to be able to answer for yourself. I can only tell you from my experience, like right now, and this has been the case for several years, every day is almost exactly the same. Exactly the same. My life has a very calm, level stasis to it. And would you agree? Like every day is pretty much exactly the same. Everything is quite just, and if we could have it that way all the time, we probably would, right? Yeah, because we genuinely love what we do. Really love what we do. We love the people that we take care of, inside of our businesses, the things that they bring to our lives. The things that, you run a business because, the business needs to make money. The things that we get to do, because of the input and the help and the care that we put into those people is rewarded back to us tenfold. And because of the fulfillment and level of purpose that we feel we have with the type of work that we do, we're not looking at us. People look at the wrist, don't they, when they talk about days and times. I've not got a watch on, so if anybody ever does that, that's a very interesting watch they've got on. But I'm never looking at the calendar on my watch and thinking, hurry up, Friday. I could really do with you doing me a favour and helping me escape from this hell that I've created for myself. Never. If anything, Elaine often tells me off for spending too long on client calls and on Zoom calls. She said, you need to watch your timings more, because otherwise you don't get to go to the toilet and, eat your lunch and things like that. So I'm very much guilty of, the thing that I love doing is consuming in the most, I couldn't want it any more than I do right now, And I know from being a person that has had jobs and positions and even, chased a career in the military, on the other side of this feeling, I know there are people that are completely aware that they're doing that they're watching the clock. Wait, come on. When's my 8-hour shift over? When's Friday coming? When's the weekend coming? So then they can be the person who they actually are, rather than having to be this, I don't know, is it a masked up corporate slave? Is it, I don't know, whatever it might be, underpaid, potentially. And you just feel like your worth is so much more, whether that's in another business or maybe setting your own thing up. Sometimes it's just having the audacity and the pig-headedness, to take a shot on yourself. So then you can say bye-bye, to Monday-itis or, waiting for the Friday or the Saturday to rock up, whatever that looks like. Or I used to do shift work, right? I used to do this horrible shift work. I did work under an agency, which is basically the agency has a bunch of companies and they just need bods, essentially. They just need people to, do shift work, and it's just, moving bags from pallets or unloading lorries or whatever it might be. And I used to do these 4 on, 4 off. And hey, yeah, it paid okay. But, within 5 minutes of arriving on day 1 of shift 1, I can't even explain the level of, compared to now, the disappointment, I was just having myself, that I was accepting this as my reality. And it's almost like, I'd say to myself, is this it? Is this life? Is this what people do? Is this what people just accept? This isn't judgment, by the way, so please don't get me wrong in thinking, I'm some sort of, snobby bloke that, those types of jobs are beyond, me, or I'm better than them. Not whatsoever. Not whatsoever. I've got nothing but love and respect for all jobs that are out there and what people choose to do. But there are a lot of people, at least through my life experiences, that choose to do things but don't actually really appreciate how much more is out there for them. Like, I speak to people all the time and they tell me they've got, I don't know, 25 years of accountancy experience working for one company. I'm like, 25 years? Yeah, 25 years for the same company, I'm like, why don't you start your own accountancy firm? That's crazy. Like, what's that program with those lawyers? Is it Suits? And I know I'm talking about a TV show now, but didn't one of them like leave the thing and start their own firm up and everyone followed or something? And in my mind, I'm thinking this accountant, they'd probably just have loads of people who are like, wow, yeah, you've been looking after my accounts for 20 years. We'll follow you. No problem. We'll be your first client. And all of a sudden, guess what? You've got your own accountancy firm. Then you can teach other people underneath you. Then you've maybe got a legacy that you can leave for your kids. Then it becomes more exciting rather than, I don't know, you might do another 15 years for that same person and then you'll just get completely forgotten about. I don't know. I'm just making up fake scenarios here. But, you know, if there's something I could attempt to pass on today would be, you know, don't settle if you don't need to. Don't settle if you don't need to. If you're in a position in life of where you know you're going to have to tough it out or whatever, you know, right now with what you're doing, fucking kudos to you. You know, keep doing that fucking thing. You know, I'm sure you're doing it not just for yourself, but maybe you're doing it for your family, your kids, you know, to just fucking maybe keep the lights on, keep the fucking food coming in. Awesome. For the other person that's maybe watching this, if that's you, of where you've been sat on ideas and dreams and, you know, I can't wait for Friday, fucking 5 o'clock, you know, to happen. And then every Sunday just thinking, man, I just do not want to go in tomorrow. And it's just killing a part of you and taking a piece away of your life force every week, every month, every year that's happening. You know, I'm speaking to you. You know, I know what that's like. You don't need to fucking do that. There's so much opportunity in the world right now. You can work remotely. There's all sorts of fucking cool businesses where you can actually work from home, from a laptop, and get paid thousands of pounds or thousands of dollars. And it's really fulfilling work of where you might be helping people, you know, to, I don't know. I've seen people get qualified in, not be a therapist, because I don't want to take anything away from people that study therapy for a lot of years, where people just give advice over the phone or over, you know, Zoom. People come on and they just need a little pick-me-up. And those people get paid like £50 to £100 to do a session, to just be like a friend to that other person. That's amazing. What a world we live in now. Where once upon a time, your neighbour would come round for a cup of coffee and you have to sit with them for 2 hours and you wouldn't get any payment for it. Anyway, you catch my drift. You know, so if that's you, and this is a little bit of a kick up the backside for you, then maybe that's what we needed today. See you soon.